Hey Mallards, it is Sunday and today I did nothing. And I really mean that. I mean that I watched 11 episodes of season 7, which is the final season of the 100. And that's all I did. And I'm a little upset about I don't know. It's one of those weird things. So I've been thinking a lot about this idea of like time wasted, right? So I did spend my entire Sunday doing basically nothing but watching the 100. But is that really time wasted or is it time rested? Is the idea that I took a break that I needed and I just let myself enjoy my day and not worry about all of the other million things that I'm doing constantly every other day? Or is it really time wasted, time that I should have spent doing the list of million other things that I spend every other day doing? And it's really hard, I think, to balance that, especially right now during coronavirus, because there's a simultaneous need to do a lot of things and a constant state of exhaustion from just the state of the world, and also like a little bit of a difficulty doing some of those things that would be considered things that need to be done, just from the nature of the fact that like you're not out and about as much. And so the time that you spend relaxing, whereas I used to spend time quote unquote relaxing by like going to shows and things like that, that's a little bit harder to do now. So I instead spent it watching Netflix. And I think I'm okay with that. I feel like I had a very enjoyable day and that I had fun watching the 100. It reminded me again that Octavia Blake is one of the best characters on television. I'm willing to say that. In this season in particular, spoilers for the final season of the 100, which has been over for a year, I think, so mild spoilers, I guess. In this season, there's a character who goes through Octavia's memories, and by going through her memories sort of falls for her, and I totally get that because she is the most interesting character in this show by a mile, despite the fact that she's not quote unquote the main character. And she also is one of the most interesting female characters that I've seen in a while. And some of her story is defined by her romantic relationships to people and her familial relationships to people, but she is rich and developed and has a chance to like go dark and be redeemed in a way that I feel like is often denied to female characters, in that they're not allowed to be as dark and terrible as she is and still come back from it. And she also is very complex in everything that she dealt with. I was listening to an episode of Script Notes, which is a podcast for screenwriters, where they talk about how female characters are often not given moral quandaries in the same way that male characters are. Like there's often not a consideration like that they have to go through. And I would say that is maybe true. There isn't a lot of that you see in film or television for that matter, but I think that what makes Octavia so cool and what has always made her my favorite character, she's also my mother's favorite character in this show, is that she actually does have the opportunity to have some of those quandaries and also makes the wrong decision. And that's something that you can do in a television show in a way that's like tougher to do in a film, but it's fun to get to see her get to make the wrong decision, to get to see her have the journey that Anakin Skywalker gets in the Star Wars saga, or that a lot of other male characters get to have, and that real darkness and real depth and dimension is really cool. There are a lot of interesting and developed female characters in this show. It's one of the things that I've always really enjoyed about the 100. And I think that they do a very good job with a variety of female characters. They got a lot of flack for essentially fridging their like first gay relationship. And that has been an issue in the show, I would say. But I think that they grew from that at least a little bit and have certainly made things interesting. And I, personally, as a non-romantic person, like that there's a lot of stories that don't revolve around romance at all. That there's action and adventure, and it's action and adventure with female characters at the center who are not worrying about romance all the time. This season in particular has these 3 female characters who have a familial relationship. Octavia is one of them. And they, at some point, Clark says, we should find out what the 3 most dangerous women in the galaxy are up to. And I feel like that really does define those 3 characters. And it's really cool that that's what they are. And that they are the 3 most dangerous people in the galaxy. In the whole world of this show, it's them. And I feel like it's been that way for a lot of the show. That they have really made their female characters interesting. Which is not to say that they don't have a lot of male characters, some of which are interesting as well, and some of which are also main characters. But the driving force of this show has always been its female characters, and I think that that's really cool. And it's fun to see a depth of different characters and different things, and they're not always strong, and they're not always moral, and they're not always right, and they're not always kind, and that's what I enjoy. I like that they're just as messed up as everybody else, that they are treated the same way I see male characters treated all the time. There's a reason I've really, really enjoyed this show, and I know this is the last season, and I'm going to be kind of sad to see it go, but I hope that it has been a sign of things to come, and that maybe there'll be characters like that in films and movies from here on out. So yeah, maybe not a wasted day after all. It was just a day to recharge, refresh, enjoy myself, and to think about how awesome female characters can be. I'll see you tomorrow.